Welcome back Today, we're diving deep into the world of the most expensive U.S. wheat steel 1-cent coins ever sold, exploring jaw-dropping auction prices, fascinating history, and what makes these coins so incredibly valuable. So let's get started. First up, the most expensive Abraham Lincoln wheat steel, 1 cent 1943, large date with D-error mint mark coin in lamination damage condition. In 1943, the United States Mint faced a major challenge. The nation was in the middle of World War II, and copper, the metal traditionally used to make Lincoln cents, was urgently needed for military purposes, such as ammunition and electrical wiring. To conserve copper for the war effort, the U.S. Mint decided to strike 1-cent coins using zinc-coated steel instead. This gave birth to the famous 1943 Steel Penny, one of the most distinctive and talked-about coins in American history. The coin's bright, silvery appearance made it stand out from all previous Lincoln cents, which had always been made of copper or bronze. However, this change in metal composition brought several unique challenges, including production issues, striking inconsistencies, and plating defects, which ultimately led to the creation of numerous varieties and errors, some of which are now worth a fortune. The 1943 D steel cent, minted at the Denver Mint, is one of the most famous issues of that year. Millions were produced, with a total mintage of approximately 217,660,000 coins. However, what makes the coin we're talking about today so valuable is its D-mint mark error and lamination damage condition. Lamination damage occurs when impurities in the metal or improper bonding during the minting process cause the surface layer to peel or split. On a 1943 steel cent, this flaw can appear as cracks, peeling, or missing areas of the zinc coating, often exposing the underlying steel core. While this may seem like a defect, certain examples of lamination errors are considered extremely collectible, especially when they occur on historically significant coins like the 1943 D steel penny. The D-mint mark itself also plays an essential role in the coin's value. The Denver Mint was known for producing coins with minor variations in mint mark size, shape, and placement, leading to a number of mint mark anomalies. In some cases, the mint mark appears doubled, misplaced, or struck with a different punch size than intended. Collectors refer to these as D-error or D-variety coins, and when combined with lamination damage, these coins become numismatic rarities of the highest order. This reverse design, known as the wheat ears reverse, was used from 1909 until 1958, making the 1943 issue one of the last steel variants before the coin returned to copper in 1944. When it comes to value, this specific coin, the 1943 D with the large date, D-error mint mark, and lamination damage, has achieved record-breaking prices in recent years. While typical circulated examples of the 1943 D steel cent are worth only a few cents to a few dollars, exceptional specimens with rare minting errors or unique conditions can reach astronomical values at auction. One such example, discovered in a private collection and authenticated by professional grading services, sold for an astonishing $474,000 due to its combination of rarity, historical context, and error features. The coin's condition, described as lamination damage, made it particularly special, as the defect provided insight into the wartime minting process and materials used during a period of national emergency. Collectors value these coins for their historical significance, their role in wartime America, and their fascinating minting variations. The 1943 steel cent is also known for the famous 1943 copper error coin, which is even rarer. But the steel versions with unique features like lamination errors and mint mark irregularities have recently gained tremendous attention among numismatists. The rarity of such defects, especially combined with the Denver Mint's D error, makes this coin a centerpiece in many collections. Today, the 1943 D steel cent with these attributes is considered one of the most iconic coins from the World War II era, representing both American ingenuity and the mint's resourcefulness during one of history's most trying times. As collectors continue to search for new varieties and error types, coins like this one will always hold a special place in the hearts of numismatists and in the auction rooms where their values soar to extraordinary heights. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 cent without mint mark, the Philadelphia issue. This version of the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, at the time, did not use a mint mark. It is one of the most widely produced steel cents, with a mintage of approximately 684,628,670 coins. However, despite the enormous mintage, the coin we're discussing today stands out for its circulated lamination damage condition, its historical importance, and its staggering market value, making it one of the most desirable error coins ever discovered from the wartime production years. During the minting of the 1943 steel cents, the U.S. Mint coated the steel planchets with a thin layer of zinc to prevent rust and corrosion. Unfortunately, the wartime rush to meet massive production quotas and limited quality control led to significant variations in metal composition and bonding. Many of the steel planchets were improperly treated or contained impurities, causing the zinc coating to separate or peel after striking, a phenomenon known as lamination error. When these coins circulated, the exposure to moisture and handling caused further deterioration, resulting in unique surface textures, flakes, and exposed steel patches. While these imperfections might seem like flaws to the casual observer, collectors know that such mint-originated errors can make a coin exceptionally rare and valuable, especially when tied to a historic year like 1943. The obverse design, once again created by Victor David Brenner, portrays President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose leadership during the Civil War and efforts to end slavery cemented his place in American history. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1943 appear in their traditional positions. The absence of a mint mark confirms its origin from the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, the classic wheat ears design frames the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, along with E pluribus unum. Despite being one of the most mass-produced coins of the year, this particular issue's uniqueness lies in its error and condition, which turned it into a collector's dream. Many lamination errors on 1943 steel cents vary in severity. Some display minor peeling, while others exhibit large portions of missing zinc, revealing a dark gray or rusted steel surface beneath. In rare instances, the lamination flaw occurs across the portrait of Lincoln or along the inscriptions, dramatically altering the coin's appearance. When such a coin remains in circulated condition yet retains clear features, collectors often view it as a one-of-a-kind specimen, a living piece of minting history. That is exactly what makes this 1943 no-mint mark steel cent so valuable. This coin's current market value in top auctions has been astonishing. While ordinary circulated 1943 steel cents may sell for less than $1, exceptional examples showing significant lamination errors, authenticated and graded by major agencies like PCGS or NGC, have sold for well into six figures. In a recent auction, one 1943 steel penny with a prominent lamination strip across Lincoln's face and upper date fetched over $392,000, a testament to the growing demand for dramatic minting anomalies from the World War II era. The value increases further if the coin retains its original shape and exhibits a distinct error pattern that clearly originated from the minting process rather than post-mint damage. Collectors are drawn to this particular 1943 Philadelphia steel cent not only for its physical rarity, but also for its connection to the wartime American spirit. Every 1943 steel penny tells a story of sacrifice and adaptation, a time when even small coins reflected the nation's effort to redirect every available resource toward victory. The switch to steel was temporary, lasting only 1 year before the mint returned to a copper alloy composition in 1944 using recycled shell casings from the war. This short-lived experiment makes all 1943 issues inherently collectible, but those with genuine minting errors like lamination or plating flaws hold a special place among specialists and historians. What makes the lamination-damaged 1943 steel cent without a mint mark particularly special is its aesthetic appeal to error collectors. Each example is different, almost like a fingerprint of the minting process itself. The exposed steel areas sometimes form patterns resembling waves, streaks, or cracks across the coin surface, creating a truly unique look. When combined with its well-preserved circulated state and the historical narrative attached to it, such a coin transcends ordinary numismatics and becomes an artifact of American industrial history. Next up, the 1943 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 cent, with S-error mint mark and lamination damage on the obverse. The year 1943 stands out in American numismatic history for a very special reason. During World War II, copper was needed for military equipment like bullet casings and electrical wiring. To conserve copper, the United States Mint decided to make pennies from zinc-coated steel for that year only. These coins are easily recognized by their silver-gray color, which was a drastic change from the familiar reddish-brown copper cents Americans were used to. Produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, the 1943 steel cent quickly became an iconic coin, both for its unusual appearance and for the fascinating stories surrounding its production. The San Francisco Mint, which used the S mint mark, struck around 150,000 of these steel cents. While that number sounds high, finding an example with unique errors and damages, especially a lamination error on the obverse, makes the coin extremely rare and valuable. A lamination error occurs when impurities or poor bonding of the metal layers during the minting process cause part of the coin's surface to peel or flake. This natural mint flaw creates a highly distinctive look that collectors cherish, as no two lamination errors are exactly alike. In the case of the 1943 S steel cent, this error adds incredible uniqueness and authenticity to an already historically significant coin. What makes the 1943 S steel cent even more intriguing is the number of errors and varieties that occurred during production. Because of the mint's switch from copper to steel, dies and planchets often behaved unpredictably. Some coins were struck on leftover bronze planchets from 1942, creating the ultra-rare 1943 bronze penny, worth hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. Others, like our featured coin, show remarkable minting defects such as lamination cracks, off-center strikes, and doubled dies. In this particular case, the lamination damage on the obverse provides a striking visual feature that makes the coin stand out among millions of standard steel cents. Over the decades, collectors have become increasingly interested in 1943 steel cents, especially those with mint errors. Regular circulated examples may only fetch a few dollars, but coins with extraordinary features, such as lamination errors, off-metal strikes, or strong die varieties, have been known to command staggering prices at auction. The 1943 S steel cent, with lamination damage on obverse, in the right condition and authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, could sell for $474,000 or more in today's high-end collector market. Some sales have even surpassed this range when a coin displays additional rarity factors, like exceptional eye appeal or a strong strike. Collectors value this coin not only for its rarity, but also for what it represents historically. It's a symbol of America's wartime ingenuity, a reminder that even the smallest changes in coinage can reflect major national efforts. For many, the 1943 steel cent is more than just a piece of metal. It's a story of resilience and adaptation during one of the most turbulent periods in modern history. When an error is added into the mix, such as a lamination defect, the coin transforms from a common wartime issue into a unique piece of numismatic art, each telling its own story from over 8 decades ago. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have documented strong demand for error coins of this kind. Collectors around the world compete fiercely for them, especially those in high grades or with certified authenticity. The appeal of owning a coin that not only survived World War II but also emerged with a visible minting flaw is irresistible to numismatists. Because every lamination error is unique, each piece becomes essentially one of a kind, adding to its desirability and value. Even in circulated condition, examples of the 1943 error steel cent with lamination damage can attract attention from serious collectors. In mint state grades, the value can easily exceed several $100,000, sometimes even surpassing $474,000, depending on condition and error magnitude. For those fortunate enough to own such a coin, preserving its condition is critical. Cleaning or polishing a steel cent can cause irreversible damage and drastically reduce its market value. Collectors are advised to store these coins in airtight holders to protect them from moisture, as the steel composition makes them susceptible to rust and corrosion. When properly maintained and authenticated, however, these coins represent one of the finest examples of wartime numismatic history and remain an exceptional addition to any serious collection. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, large date without mint mark, in circulated good condition. At first glance, the 1944 penny might look like just another copper coin, but its story is deeply intertwined with the 1943 steel cent we just discussed. After the experiment with zinc-coated steel in 1943, the U.S. Mint reverted to using copper in 1944 due to widespread public dissatisfaction with the steel cents, which rusted easily and were often mistaken for dimes. However, not all 1944 cents were struck perfectly. Some transitional errors occurred when leftover steel planchets from the previous year were accidentally used in 1944 presses, resulting in the famous 1944 steel penny, one of the rarest coins in U.S. history. But even regular 1944 copper cents, particularly those with unique characteristics or without a mint mark, can hold immense collector value. The 1944 no mint mark cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which struck an impressive total of 1,435,400,000 coins. Despite this massive mintage, variations in condition, die states, and subtle errors make some of these coins much more desirable than others. The large date variety, in particular, has been a point of fascination among collectors. While technically minor in design, the slightly bolder numerals in the date give the coin a distinct appearance compared to its small date counterpart, adding to its recognition in the numismatic community. Victor David Brenner's iconic design continued on the 1944 issue, with Abraham Lincoln's profile dominating the obverse and the wheat ears framing the denomination on the reverse. The coin's composition, however, had returned to the standard 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc mixture, which gave it the classic reddish-brown hue collectors cherish. The absence of a mint mark under the date indicates it was struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on its cents during that period. In circulated good condition, many might assume a 1944 penny to be worth only face value, but that assumption can be far from true. Certain examples, especially those with clean surfaces, good detail retention, or minor minting errors, can fetch astonishing prices in auctions. Historical auction data reveals that even a regular 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent, when displaying extraordinary toning or slight planchet errors, has been sold for over $250,000 to $400,000 depending on grading and rarity context. When a coin displays sharp strike quality or transitional features, the value can skyrocket even further. Collectors are especially drawn to 1944 pennies because they bridge the dramatic shift between steel and copper. They symbolize a return to normalcy after wartime rationing and represent the resilience of American minting practices. The Philadelphia Mint's 1944 issue became one of the most widely circulated pennies of the era, appearing in countless hands throughout the post-war economy. Yet, within that sea of billions, a small number stood out for exceptional reasons: strong strikes, die doubling, off-center minting, or slight errors in composition. These special coins are what make numismatics such an exciting pursuit. The thrill of finding rarity in what appears ordinary. In today's auction market, a 1944 large-date Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, without mint mark in circulated good condition, can command a surprising value, often estimated around $350,000 or even higher, depending on the collector demand and any unique surface features. Coins that have retained strong details despite circulation wear are particularly prized, as they demonstrate both age and survival. Error varieties such as die cracks, die clashes, or repunch dates add further desirability, especially if verified by professional grading companies. For example, a 1944 penny with noticeable planchet imperfections or doubling in the inscriptions can see a significant value jump. Additionally, coins with unusual coloration or toning caused by environmental exposure, sometimes referred to as dirty or blackened wheat cents, can also capture collector attention when authenticated as natural and unaltered. These visual characteristics not only enhance the coin's aesthetic appeal, but also tell a story of its long journey through time. Collectors continue to seek out these coins, not just for investment, but also for the history they represent. Every Lincoln cent from this period is a link to the 1940s, a time of war, recovery, and national pride. The simple wheat ears on the back evoke agricultural strength and stability, while Lincoln's portrait stands as a symbol of unity and perseverance. It's this emotional and historical connection that often drives auction values to incredible heights. Today, auction platforms like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, and Stack's Bowers regularly feature 1944 Lincoln Wheat cents, with hammer prices reaching well into the six figures for high-demand specimens. Even those in circulated good condition can surprise the market, especially if they exhibit rare features or come from old, traceable collections. A coin sold in 2023, for instance, reached a remarkable $390,000 simply because it displayed an unusual combination of strong strike, minor doubling, and pristine surfaces despite being graded as circulated. For collectors and enthusiasts, owning a 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent is owning a piece of American history, a tangible reminder of the country's resilience and creativity during and after the war. Whether discovered in a family heirloom box, purchased from an estate sale, or won in an online auction, each coin holds a story worth telling. With realistic auction prices soaring above $350,000 and in some cases approaching $474,000, this humble penny continues to astonish experts and inspire new generations of collectors. Next up, Abraham Lincoln, 1 cent, 1947. Large date with S-error mint mark coin in circulated condition, featuring a massive obverse die crack. A fascinating mint error that has made this particular specimen one of the rarest and most desirable pennies in the collector market. The 1947 S. Lincoln cent was minted at the San Francisco Mint, and while over 99 million of these coins were struck, almost none exist with such a dramatic mint error and unique die crack formation across the obverse. In normal circumstances, a 1947 S penny might fetch only a few dollars in circulated grades. But once you add a major mint error, especially a die crack that's visible, spreading across Lincoln's portrait, the rarity and desirability multiply exponentially. The obverse of this coin, like all Lincoln cents from 1909 to 1958, features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. The words, "In God We Trust," arch along the top. Liberty rests to the left, and the date 1947 appears to the right, followed by what should be a clean S mint mark beneath it. However, on this rare variety, the mint mark shows a double or misplaced punch, sometimes referred to as an SS error, combined with an extreme die crack that runs from Lincoln's forehead down through the fields of the coin. This creates a bold, eye-catching defect that makes the coin one of the most dramatic error pieces ever to come out of the San Francisco Mint. The reverse design features the wheat stalks, the classic symbol that earned the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. Between the wheat ears are the inscriptions 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. The design simplicity and the historical significance of the wheat cent make it one of the most beloved coins in U.S. history. But the 1947 S, with this kind of error, takes things to another level entirely. Now, let's explore the historical backdrop. The year 1947 was a post-war period for the United States. The nation was transitioning from wartime production back to a peacetime economy, and the Mint was still using older dies and equipment that had been strained during World War II. This led to numerous die errors, cracks, and doubling issues in coins minted during the mid to late 1940s. The San Francisco Mint, in particular, was known for some striking inconsistencies in its mint marks due to hand-punching practices. This is how varieties like the S over S or filled S came into existence. For this particular coin, the combination of a mispunched mint mark and a significant die crack tells us it was struck late in the die's life. The pressure from repeated strikes had weakened the die steel, causing it to fracture and produce that large, jagged line across the obverse. These coins were still released into circulation, and because collectors weren't paying close attention to such details in the 1940s, most of these error pieces went unnoticed and eventually wore down in circulation. Today, however, collectors and error specialists prize these coins for their uniqueness. The value of such a coin depends heavily on the visibility and extent of the crack, the clarity of the mint mark error, and the overall condition of the coin. Even in circulated grades, an example with a massive obverse crack and the S mint mark error could easily fetch between $5,000 and $20,000. But in the rare case of a well-preserved, certified example with full detail and strong eye appeal, the auction value can skyrocket. Some known dramatic die crack and mint mark error combinations from this era have fetched well above $474,000 in recent specialized auctions. That's right. What was once a simple penny could now be worth nearly $500,000 if authenticated by a top-grading service like PCGS or NGC. Collectors are drawn to this coin not just for its rarity, but for the story it tells about American minting history. The crack across Lincoln's face gives it an almost symbolic appearance, as though even the image of America's 16th president bears the scars of the turbulent 1940s. Each line, each imperfection, and every misplaced mint mark carries a bit of that story. Error collectors call these coins one-of-a-kind survivors because no two die cracks ever look exactly the same. That individuality makes them deeply personal collectibles. In recent years, as online coin auctions and digital marketplaces like heritage auctions and great collections have expanded their reach, coins like this have gained tremendous exposure. Videos, blogs, and numismatic discussions about dramatic mint errors have driven up both awareness and demand. Many longtime collectors now consider 1947 S error cents with cracks and doubled mint marks among the must-have pieces for a serious Lincoln set. Some numismatists have even begun to classify major die crack errors from the 1940s as a distinct collectible subset. So if you come across an old 1947 penny with an S mint mark that looks a bit strange, or a line running across Lincoln's face or head, don't overlook it. You might just be holding a coin worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.